Shalaberty Tunnel Boulevard, an accident right now. Russell, Spring Creek Road in front of Park Ridge East. There's one. West 20th at Emerson Drive, an accident. Hickson Pike at West Fairfax, one through there a bit ago as well. Don't forget soccer tonight. The U.S. women's soccer team playing Costa Rica 6:30 at Finley Stadium. They'll close Reggie White at 19th and Chestnut from 17th to 19th as well. Mike Wood, the Traffic Center on News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
It's 5:24 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell, the news director, and here's what's happening. A Tennessee ACLU division has now issued a statement in response to a question that was regarding free speech and expression versus company code of conduct. The question was raised after a WDEF report on a woman who was fired from her job and then banned from Northgate Mall after she was allegedly overheard making anti-Islamic comments, and she posted anti-Islamic signs on her car. The Tennessee ACLU Executive Director, Hetty Weinberg, issued a following statement saying, numerous Muslim individuals and groups across Tennessee have spoken out against the horrific tragedy in Chattanooga, soundly rejecting the shooter's actions, and they have stood side by side with people from many religious backgrounds and memorial vigils and raised funds for the families of these victims. So, she says, villainizing an entire group within our diverse community because of the actions of one person is unfair at best. However, everyone is entitled to his or her opinion, and the First Amendment protects the people's freedom of speech from censorship by the government. That being said, she says, private employers can regulate the speech in their place of business. Now, that is a contested opinion. The Chattanooga woman with strong views found herself out of the job, and she was banned from Northgate Mall. Heidi Grubbs was gainfully employed at the Belk department store inside of Northgate until a customer overheard her conversation about domestic terrorist Muhammad Abdulaziz, the shooter who killed 5 servicemen in Chattanooga last month. She says, I made a comment specifically towards the terrorist Muhammad and his family by stating that he was a piece of expletive scum and that his family was too for killing our men. She says that she was fired and she refuses to apologize for it. But she says losing her job wasn't the only thing that she was faced with. 2 officers in the loss prevention office told her that she was to be banned from all properties of CBL because of a sign that she had on her car. The sign is an anti-Islamic message that she proudly stuck on her window. The original sign on my car states, she says, that she will expletive on your Quran. Says, I'll spit in the face of your Muhammad and that Islam is a lie, she says. In a previous interview with Examiner.com writer Joe Noory, Grubbs said that she had been very outspoken about Islam since moving to Chattanooga from Memphis, saying what happened to our soldiers is more offensive than anything she might have written on paper, she added. She also came into the studio here at Hot News Talk Radio where David Tulis did an interview, which you can check out on our YouTube, over on Hot News Talk Radio on YouTube. It's archived there, and it's very plainly labeled the interview with her. So you can definitely check that out here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com, but especially on the YouTube, which is Hot News Talk Radio on YouTube, where all of our shows are archived and all of our important interviews are made as separate videos. So you can always find our important interviews there on Hot News Talk Radio and Hot News Talk Radio on YouTube. The Chattanooga police do not believe that the 2 shootings on Tuesday night are related. The first one was in the 1700 block of Wilson Street at 9:25 p.m. The police found one victim, a 36-year-old man with non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the leg. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. The second shooting was in the 1000 block of South Hickory Street at 9:39 p.m., and the 2 victims were taken to the hospital for non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. There's no suspect information for either shooting currently, so if you know anything about either of those shootings, the Chattanooga police are asking that you call them at 423-698-2525. Again, that's 423-698-2525 if you had any information about that shooting, which just took place. According to authorities, a Georgia resident is now being treated for possible plague infection after visiting Yosemite National Park over in California. The park is remaining open, but visitors have been told to avoid contact with rodents as they might have plague-bearing fleas. It's unclear why there would be contact with rodents in the first place at Yosemite, but as of now, that's not clear. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, is performing tests on the patient who has not been identified Georgia authorities are working with Yosemite officials and the U.S. Forest Service to pinpoint where the person may have contracted that deadly disease. But since they said that they visited California in early August, stopping at Yosemite and the Sierra National Forest, it is possible that it was contracted during those travels. This is the second visitor to Yosemite to contract the plague and in 2 months. After a child from Los Angeles County was diagnosed in July, Yellowstone officials closed down the Crane Flat campground for a week to apply a flea-killing treatment to the rodent burrows. The park announced that it would be closing the Tuolumne, I think, Meadows campground last week for the same treatment after 2 infected squirrels were found dead at the site. Rodents such as squirrels, chipmunks, prairie dogs, and rats sometimes have fleas, which carry the plague bacterium. And when it's infected, the rodent dies, and then the fleas can jump to other warm-blooded hosts, including humans. Both the California child and Georgia patient are being treated with antibiotics and are expected to make a full recovery. According to the CDC, there have been 8 cases of plague in the U.S. this year and 2 deaths, both of which were in Colorado. It's unclear what's causing the rise in this plague, but of course, as soon as we find out, we will let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. This is AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. We are everywhere. Listen live to Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. You can download the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is also on Twitter, where you report the world decides. That's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. So definitely check that out again on Hot News Talk Radio on YouTube. We have all of our shows archived, so you can see all of the interviews that we've done there on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. And your weather update from us here at the Weather Center, 85 right now here in the Chattanooga area. Mid-80s is what we're expecting for a few more hours now. 82 is actually the high for tonight, and 69 is the low. Tomorrow, 75 is the high, 63 is the low. We're expecting temperatures in the lower 80s pretty much all throughout the rest of this week and into next week as well. Rain for tonight and tomorrow, so keep that in mind. Temperatures are looking a little bit warmer, actually, getting into next week, and conditions are still a little bit gloomy over here in the studio area. So keep that in mind, that the weather is going to be a little bit less forgiving than it has been historically, but as of right now, it's actually not too bad in some areas, although we did get a report from Mike Wood that there was some rain in some areas, so keep that in mind as well. Driving conditions may be compromised, and traffic may be slowed down as well due to the weather. That's your weather update from us here at the Weather Center at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
It's 5:30 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell. Here's what's happening. A deputy with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department has now been placed on leave after an incident that was caught on camera at the Silverdale Detention Facility. The Sheriff's Department has confirmed that on Saturday evening at 9:20 p.m., there was an incident between the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office Deputy Daniel Hendricks and a female inmate, Leslie M. Hayes, who's being transported to CCA from the jail. The Sheriff's Department says that inmate Hayes was combative during the transport and in the booking/intake area of CCA where the scuffle between the two occurred. And it appears at this time, according to County Sheriff Jim Hammond, he was attempting to remove the restraints so that she could be turned over to the folks out there, says Jim Hammond, who is the sheriff in Hamilton County. Hayes was being transported to CCA from the jail on an outstanding fugitive warrant from Sessions Court. She also has charges coming out of Chattanooga, which are aggravated assault, aggravated burglary, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, violation of probation, and that's driving on a suspended license. Sheriff's office records, I should say, indicate that she had been in the jail at least 28 times. She has previously been convicted of assault, assault on police, theft, possession of drugs, and prostitution. Sheriff Jim Hammond is promising to conduct a full investigation of this incident and says that his office will respond accordingly. He says, obviously, there are things that show up on the videotape that could be taken one of two ways. That's why you have internal affairs look at these things. Deputy Hendricks has been suspended pending the outcome of a full investigation. So as it is now, Silverdale and CCA administrators have not come out with any sort of statement regarding this either. So as it is now, all we have is the videotape, the sheriff's statement, and no statement from any of those who were involved in the scuffle. So as of right now, there's not a whole lot of information, but as soon as more comes out, we'll definitely let you know, and we'll totally let you know what the internal affairs investigation says right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Ryan Epperson was arrested in connection with two separate incidents that occurred at Erlanger East on Sunday and the downtown Erlanger yesterday. This now marks the second time that Epperson has been arrested in connection with stealing drugs from area hospitals. The previous incident took place in May of 2015. Chattanooga Police Department and the U.S. Marshal Service arrested Epperson on Wednesday and recovered a large amount of the stolen drugs. Epperson has been charged with burglary, vandalism, and criminal trespass. Previously, in a Tuesday court proceeding, Ryan Epperson waived his right to a preliminary hearing, and his case was bound over to the grand jury. Epperson is a former Hamilton County Corrections officer and has been charged with taking narcotics from crash carts in 4 local hospitals. And also, he apparently impersonated a surgeon, according to police, and Ryan Epperson entered a door at Erlanger that was marked security personnel only to steal narcotics. Court records show that he entered the radiology procedure lab at Park Ridge in order to swipe drugs. Memorial staff confirms that narcotics were taken from 4 crash carts left in supervised areas. Erlanger refused to comment, instead releasing a written statement confirming the ID badges are supposed to be visible at all times on staff at Erlanger and encouraging patients and family members to look out for them. Park Ridge acknowledged the security breach in a written statement that said, partially, "We have taken immediate steps to evaluate the security of our drug dispensing processes and procedures, as well as access to our restricted areas," said Patty Montgomery, who is the director of marketing. And it appears that they have also changed their policy when it comes to crash carts and the drugs which are on those crash carts. So it appears now that certain drugs have been taken off of crash carts. Crash carts, by the way, are little carts. Literally, they're carts that are wheeled around, and they have different drugs and other such things, such as defibrillator on them in order to revive somebody if they literally crash. So that's the purpose of them. But as of right now, it appears that they have changed some of their standards when it comes to what's on those crash cars. We'll be looking to get a statement from them here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter. Over here, Hot News Talk Radio is on Twitter, where you report the world decides. That's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. And you can always check out all of our different tweets. Very pithy, very to the point over on Hot News Talk Radio. And you can also check us out on the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone. That's Hot News Talk Radio on the TuneIn Radio app. And you can listen to us anywhere in the world on the go from us here at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com. Looking at the weather now from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center, where mid-80s is what we're seeing right now here in the Chattanooga area. And tonight we're expecting more rain. It's certainly looking gloomy for us here at the studio at Hot News Talk Radio. 69 is the low for tonight. Thursday, 75 is the high, 63 is the low. Weekend is looking a little bit nicer than we've been seeing recently, with 81 being the high and 61 the low on Friday. Saturday, we're seeing highs in the 80s. And throughout next week, we're seeing highs in the mid-80s, mid-lower 80s, and lows in the mid to low 60s. So temperatures are going to be a little bit lower than we've normally been seeing, although not too bad. So keep that in mind. That's your weather update from us here at the Weather Center at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
It's 5:36 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell, the news director, and here's what's happening. We're getting an update now on traffic around Finley Stadium, where Highway 27's Main Street exit is going to be closed once parking slots fill up at Finley Stadium for Wednesday tonight's U.S. women's soccer match against Costa Rica. Traffic is going to be detoured to the Martin Luther King Boulevard exit. The match, which was quickly sold out, begins at 6:30 p.m. In addition to the closure of Reggie White Boulevard and 19th Street, Chestnut Street is going to be closed from 17th to 19th Streets. They say watch out for message boards and detours that are going to be posted, and expect heavy traffic in the area. Closures are going to be in effect until approximately 8 o'clock a.m. on Thursday. Officials said that there are a number of additional parking areas adjacent to Finley Stadium near the Chattanooga Marriott, the Chattanooga Hotel, and the Chattanooga Choo Choo as well. So again, the traffic is going to be detoured to the Martin Luther King Boulevard exit. Highway 27's Main Street exit is going to be closed for the U.S. women's soccer match against Costa Rica. That is tonight at 6:30 p.m. In addition to the closure of Reggie White Boulevard and 19th Street, Chestnut is going to be closed from 17th to 19th Streets. And watch for message boards with detours that are going to be posted. You're going to expect heavy traffic in the area, which actually should be starting up soon, if not already now. We'll be checking in with Mike Wood again to get the situation on that. But Finley Stadium looks like it's filling out pretty quickly. That's your traffic update from us here as well at Hot News Talk Radio. And again, we'll have Mike Wood in just a few seconds to talk about the traffic update in more detail. And also, the Chattanooga police are right now investigating 2 shootings that happened yesterday, and the Chattanooga police do not believe that the 2 shootings are related. The first one was in the 1700 block of Wilson Street at 925. Police found one victim, 36-year-old man with non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the leg. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. And the second shooting was in the 1000 block of South Hickory Street at 9:39 p.m. Two victims were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. There's no suspect information for either shooting at this time. If you do know anything about either of these shootings, call the Chattanooga Police at 423-698-2525. That's 423-698-2525. We have a lot of great programming here on Hot News Talk Radio. Daybreak USA, David Tulis Show, Eric Judd Show, Digital Drive with me, and Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Hot News Live at 5, Cowboy with Tex, American Now, Ground Zero, and Coast to Coast AM, all right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. 69 is a low tonight. We're expecting rain tomorrow. 75 is a high. 63 is a low. Expecting rain all next week. Highs in the mid-80s and lower 60s.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Trade Bank. Call now to get access to nearly 400 local businesses. Trade Bank. Call 877-2202. 877-2202. Trade Bank. You want to increase your cash flow, your competitive edge, attract new customers, and build a loyal customer base. You need Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call right now, 877-2202. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want with our wide variety of Trade Bank partners. For almost 30 years, Trade Bank has been your voice for small business, a member of the American Bankers Association, and in good standing with you. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation, 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report, every Sunday at 9 a.m. My guest this week is one of our nation's most acclaimed legal scholars, Mr. Alan Dershowitz. We'll be here to lay out the case for and against the nuclear agreement with Iran. Don't miss Alan Dershowitz this Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Costa Report, right here on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
If you have the DTs, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. Mention Hot News Talk Radio and get 10% off.
You give us 12 minutes and
We've
40
got a table
seconds,
here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
543 here at Hot News Talk Radio. Here's Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
Hey, thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Interstate's pretty busy in several spots. Also, we're working accidents right now. Cassandra Smith in front of Big Ridge Elementary. Graysville Road, right at the Catoosa County line, Russell, an accident there. Lee Highway at Walker Road, 153 southbound at Lee Highway right now. Shallopard at Rockaway Drive, that one a little bit ago. Chattanooga on the scene of that one. Wrapping up Hickson Pike at West Fairfax. An accident we had there earlier this afternoon. Looks like a little rain showing up on some of those TDOT Smartway cameras this afternoon as well. And again, soccer is coming up tonight, 6:30, Finley Stadium, as the U.S. women's soccer team plays Costa Rica. They'll close Reggie White at 19th, Chestnut 17th to 19th as well. And this supports the service of EPB Fiber Optics, EPBFI.com. Mike Wood, the Traffic Center, Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
544 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell. Here's what's happening, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the weather. It's 85 degrees right now in the Chattanooga area. Unfortunately, though, we are seeing quite a bit of rain here in the Chattanooga area, and it's raining quite a bit here as well at the Hot News Talk Radio studios. Again, we're expecting more rain for tonight. And in fact, we're waiting on a flood advisory that might be imminent as well. As soon as it comes out, of course, we'll let you know. Creeks are on the rise as well, so if you live near one, definitely be careful. Now, we're seeing quite a bit of thunder and lightning strikes, so power flickers are possible. And there may be some word from EPB in just a few minutes that we'll bring to you as well. That's your weather update from us here at the Weather Center at Hot News Talk Radio. And again, 75 for tomorrow, 63 is the low. That's your weather update from us here at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
It's 545 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell, and here's what's happening. I'm the news director here at Hot News Talk Radio. Chattanooga police say that Monique Johnson, who's the suspect in a Sunday incident, turned herself in to authorities in the Hamilton County Jail on Monday afternoon. Johnson had warrants that were issued from the incident on August the 16th, where she was accused of trying to run her boyfriend over with her car, sending him to a local hospital. She's been charged with aggravated domestic assault, felony domestic vandalism, felony vandalism over $500. The Chattanooga police were investigating an assault, which she was allegedly involved in, that happened on the 1500 block of Wheeler Avenue on Sunday afternoon. It was reported at around 3:30 p.m. The victim was then transported to a local hospital. He says that his girlfriend tried running him over with a vehicle. The suspect, Monique Johnson, fled the scene in a small white four-door car. And no more information is available on that, unfortunately, but as soon as we know, we'll let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, where we are everywhere. Listen live to Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. You can download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is also on Twitter, where you report the world decides. That's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Again, if you get the TuneIn Radio app, you can search for us on your smartphone, which can be an Android phone, it can be an iPhone, a Windows phone, a BlackBerry, heaven help you. You can listen to us anywhere in the world on the TuneIn Radio app. It's always there for you here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com, where we have great deals. Click on the half-off link on hotnewstalkradio.com, and we're saving you money here at AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Longtime Subway pitchman Jared Fogle agreed on Wednesday to plead guilty to allegations that he paid for sex acts with minors and received child pornography in a case that destroyed his career at the sandwich shop chain and could send him to prison for more than a decade. Prosecutors allege that Fogle knew the pornography had been secretly produced, and he apparently was allegedly aware of that. And through his foundation, which is charitable foundation, I should say, which sought to raise awareness about childhood obesity and arranged for Fogle to visit schools and urge children to adopt healthy eating and exercise habits. Authorities said that Fogle offered to pay adult prostitutes a finder's fee if they could connect him with minors for sex acts, including some as young as 14 or 15 years old. This is about using wealth, status, and secrecy to illegally exploit children, says U.S. Attorney Josh Minkler. A tight-lipped Fogel sat in a federal court with his hands clasped and quietly answered no when the judge asked whether he had any questions about his rights. He's expected to enter the formal plea at a later date to one count each of traveling to engage in illicit sexual conduct with a minor and distribution and receipt of child pornography. The agreement released by prosecutors said that Fogel will pay $1.4 million in restitution to 14 minor victims who will each receive $100,000. He's also going to be required to register as a sex offender and undergo treatment for sexual disorders. The government agreed not to seek a sentence of more than 12 and a half years in prison, and Fogel agreed not to ask for less than 5 years, according to court documents. Federal judges have wide discretion in sentencing, and Fogel could get a longer sentence. The child porn charge carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. The count involving sex with a minor is punishable by up to 30 years. Fogel says that he knows restitution can't undo the damage that he's done, but he will do all in his power to try to make it right, defense attorney Jeremy Margulis told reporters. The married father of two, he added, has a medical problem and expects to get well, but he did not elaborate. It's unclear what specifically that medical problem is. As Fogel left the courthouse, several people jeered him amid a throng of TV cameras, onlookers, and protesters. Fogel, who's 37, became Subway's pitchman after shedding more than 200 pounds as a college student, in part by eating the chain's sandwiches. He was the public face of the company for more than 15 years, a period in which its number of locations tripled, making Subway the world's largest restaurant chain at the time. But as of now, he's been charged with multiple counts involving sex with a minor and trafficking as well, according to these reports. A student, a special needs student, apparently brought a loaded gun to Dalton Middle School Wednesday morning. According to Dalton Police Department spokesman Bruce Frazier, the child brought the handgun to the school. The student then pulled the weapon from a book bag and told the teacher, quote, "Looky what I got," end quote, Dalton police said. The teacher then took possession of the weapon, which is a two-tone Kel-Tec 380 semi-automatic handgun. While the weapon's magazine was loaded, a round had not been chambered. Police say that there was no threat made to the students or to the teachers. The student told police that the gun was obtained from the middle thing in the car, presumably referring to a car's console. And again, this is a special needs student in Dalton. It doesn't appear that any criminal charges are going to be pressed at this time, but if anything else pops up, we will certainly let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. A judge, Sandy Mattis, federal judge, on Wednesday today questioned the late filing by the federal government in seeking to add Life Care Centers of America chairman Forrest L. Preston as a defendant in its major false claims action. The judge says, "I view this as a very significant potential change in the nature and scope of this lawsuit. I have a feeling that Mr. Preston is not going to lie down about this." He also told the government prosecutors, "You're pretty much asking to relitigate on everything that's happened in this case. I have a lot of questions about a motion filed 7 years into this case." Judge Mattis says that he expects the defense will file a massive motion to dismiss at this time. Traffic around Finley Stadium is expected to be quite bad, and the rain that we have right now is probably not going to be helping matters any. As of right now, 27 on Highway 27, the Main Street exit is going to be closed once parking lots fill up at Finley Stadium for Wednesday night's game in the U.S. Women's soccer match against Costa Rica. Traffic is going to be detoured to the Martin Luther King Boulevard exit. The match, which was quickly sold out, began at 6:30 p.m. And in addition to the closure of Reggie White Boulevard and 19th Street, Chestnut Street is going to be closed from 17th to 19th Streets. They say please watch for message boards and detours that are posted. You can expect heavy traffic in the area. Closures are going to be in effect until approximately 8 o'clock a.m. on Thursday. Officials said that there are a number of additional parking areas adjacent to Finley Stadium near the Chattanooga Marriott, the Chattanooga Hotel, and the Chattanooga Choo Choo. And again, Highway 27's Main Street exit is going to be closed once parking lots fill at Finley Stadium for Wednesday night's soccer match against the Costa Ricans. The traffic is going to be detoured to the Martin Luther King Boulevard exit, and the match is starting in actually about 30 minutes here. That's your update on the Finley Stadium situation, and the weather is looking quite bad for us here at Hot News Talk Radio. We'll keep you updated on that in just a few seconds here as well. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We are everywhere. Listen live to Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. Download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is also on Twitter, where you report the world decides. That's AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You can save half off now. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click on the half off link for great deals. Hot News Talk Radio is saving you money. That's AM 1240. Hot News Talk Radio. We have a ton of great programming here on Hot News Talk Radio. We have Daybreak USA with Megan McCain here on Hot News Talk Radio, and she talks about the news and analyzes the news. Analysis is the news? 9 to 11 is the David Tulis Show here on Hot News Talk Radio. He talks about live issues, the local issues, and he interviews quite a few local people, and you can see all of his interviews on YouTube as well. Eric Judd is on with the Mr. Judd Show. He's live as well, and he is local here in the Chattanooga area. 12 to 1 is my show, Digital Drive. We are as well live and local here in the Chattanooga area, and we talk about the tech market. We talk about your rights and how the digital age has changed them just a little bit, or rather how you can apply them in the digital age, and we talk about that quite a lot here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. We also have American Now with Megan McCain, and we have Laura Ingraham, we have Sean Hannity, and we have what you're listening to, well, right now, which is Hot News Live at 5, and American Now, and Ground Zero, and Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, all right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Lots of rain here in the Chattanooga area. This is the weather update from us here at the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Tons and tons of rain here for us in the Chattanooga area. 85 is what we're expecting it to be in most of the area here, although the temperature is dipping down quite quickly. And 82 was the high for tonight, and 69 is the low. Tomorrow, 75 is the high, 63 is the low. We're seeing highs in the 80s all throughout this week, our weekend, and next week. And we're seeing lows in the lower to mid 60s here in the Chattanooga area. That's a weather update from us here at the Weather Center at Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
It's 5:54 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell, the news director, and here's what's happening. The Chattanooga police are now working two separate shootings, and they don't believe that they're related. The first one was in the 1700 block of Wilson Street at 9:25 p.m., and the police found one victim, a 36-year-old man with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the leg. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. The second shooting was in the 1000 block of South Hickory Street at 9:39. Two victims were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. There's no suspect information for either shooting at this time. If you happen to know anything about either of these shootings, please call the Chattanooga Police at 423-698-2525. That's 423-698-2525. Over in Yosemite National Park, a Georgia resident is being treated for a possible plague infection. The park is remaining open, but visitors have been told to avoid contact with rodents as they might have plague-bearing fleas. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is performing tests on the patient who has not been identified. Georgia authorities are working with the Yosemite officials and U.S. Forest Service to pinpoint where the person may have contracted the deadly disease, but said that they visited California in early August, stopping at Yosemite and the Sierra National Forest. This is the second visitor to Yosemite to contract the plague in 2 months. After a child from Los Angeles County was diagnosed in July, Yellowstone officials closed down the Crane Flat campground for a week to apply a flea-killing treatment to the rodent burrows. The park announced that it would be closing the Meadows campground last week for the same treatment after 2 infected squirrels were found dead at that site. Rodents such as squirrels, chipmunks, prairie dogs, and rats sometimes have fleas that carry the plague bacterium. And while the infested rodent dies, the fleas can jump to other warm-bodied hosts, which includes humans. Both the California child and the Georgia patient are being treated with antibiotics and are expected to make full recovery. According to the CDC, there have been 8 cases of the plague in the United States this year and 2 deaths, both of which were in Colorado, according to these reports. A Hamilton County deputy, has been placed on leave after an incident that happened at Silverdale. A deputy with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office has now been placed on leave after what happened at the Silverdale Detention Facility. The Sheriff's Department confirmed that on Saturday evening at 9:20 p.m., there's an incident between the HCSO deputy Daniel Hendricks and a female inmate, Leslie M. Hayes, who was being transported to a CCA from the jail. The Sheriff's Department said that inmate Hayes was combative during the transport and in the booking/intake area of CCA where the scuffle between the two occurred. And it appears at this time, according to County Sheriff Jim Hammond, that he was attempting to remove the restraints so that she could be turned over to the folks out there. And Hayes was being transported to CCA from the jail on an outstanding fugitive warrant out of Sessions Court. She also has charges from Chattanooga, which are aggravated assault, aggravated burglary, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, violation of probation, and the sheriff's office records indicate that she has been in the jail at least 28 times. She's previously been convicted of assault on police, theft, possession of drugs, and prostitution. Sheriff Jim Hammond is promising to conduct a full investigation of this incident and says that his office will respond accordingly. He says, obviously, there are things that show up on the videotape that could be taken one of two ways, and that's why you have an internal affairs look at these things, says Hammond. Deputy Hendricks has been suspended pending the outcome of a full investigation. As of right now, Silverdale, CA has not had any sort of statement as of now, but if anything comes out about this, we will certainly let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com. And we have a ton of great programming here on Hot News Talk Radio. We have Daybreak USA, we have the David Tulis Show, we have Eric Judd, we have Digital Drive, which is my show, we have Laura Ingraham, we have Sean Hannity, we have Hot News Now, or Hot News Live at 5, which is what you're listening to now, and we have Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, and Cowboy with Tex, America Now, Ground Zero, and Coast to Coast AM, all right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com. This is AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. We are everywhere. Listen live at Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. Download that TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone, be it an Android phone, an iPhone, a Windows phone, a BlackBerry, whatever. Download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is also on Twitter, where you report the world decides. That's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. You can save half off now as well if you go to hotnewstalkradio.com. And 82 is a high for tonight. 69 is a low. We're expecting quite a bit of rain. In fact, it's raining a lot right now. Be careful around Finley Stadium. Traffic is going to be pretty bad. Tomorrow, 75 is a high. 63 is a low. This is Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
They say you can always tell a Texan, you just can't tell them much. But you can try. Cowboy Up with Tex is on Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 Eastern, and he comments on the day's events. So, agree or disagree,